Hi, American history students. Today I want to talk to you about your weekly instructional lesson. We are finishing up attitudes toward immigration, and everything will be due, I believe that's Monday. Yep, December. Monday, February 10th. Okay, it's Monday, so it's hard to wake up here. Okay, so, we've learned all about immigration to the United States, and we learned about how they were treated by other Americans when they came during different points in history during the Civil War, Reconstruction, Industrialization. All right, so, and then we looked at immigration today, and that's what you're doing. You're trying to find a resource for the resource bank submission. You're trying to think of, okay, what's a context gap that somebody might have in their thinking, or not everybody's exposed to different ideas and different peoples, and maybe your resource you put in could enlighten them to something they didn't know about with immigration. So, or you want to explain something to somebody, maybe to look at it from a different point of view. So that's what you're doing with that. And so really what I want you to focus on are getting these two final products done, the resource bank submission and then the historical context and opinions on immigration. And for this one, you're just putting together everything you learned about the past with immigration. So after learning about the different historical time periods and the attitudes and opinions toward immigrants in those time periods, you're going to use the connections demonstrated in the document sets to infer how these time periods, context impacts the thoughts and opinions people had. So really, you're just putting it all together now. After everything you learned in each individual checkpoint with those document sets, now you're going to look back in those earlier checkpoints and to answer this. You're going to write, an evidence-based or an argumentative claim paragraph. How would you describe the relationship between the historical context, or the time period, of the United States in a given time period and the opinions held about immigration? So now you're just pulling it all together for all the different time periods that you learned about. Okay, so that's the writing assignment and then the resource bank submission. So my lesson today is called America the Melting Pot. So let me explain this to you. Okay, so have you ever heard America referred to as the Great Melting Pot? What does that mean? Do you agree or disagree with the theory? Why or why not? So here I just have a little graphic here to kind of show you an image of the melting pot, where you take all these different people, right? All these different immigrants from different countries that bring their different, maybe some of them, in this case with this guy, radical views. And then you put them in this big pot, right, to give them citizenship, right? This is like Lady Liberty here, stirring them up and giving them equal rights, right? But anyway, so America has been referred to as the Great Melting Pot. So what is that? Even just that visual, if you think you put all these people together, they melt together, what happens? What comes out, right? They come out as one American. And that's this theory that America has had for the past, 150, 200 years or so in terms of immigration. But a lot of people now say, well, wait a minute, maybe we don't want them to all just drop their old cultures and become one American. Maybe it's good to retain some of those old cultural identities. So that's something you're going to look at today. So the learning target, I can compare and contrast the melting pot and the salad bowl theories of American immigrants. So the salad bowl theory is, you'll learn, that's more about retaining more of your cultural identity. So to learn more about that, you're going to look at these slides. I have to make a copy so you don't accidentally do something with my slides here. So you're going to look at these slides and actually, okay, I just want to make sure you all had share access, but you're going to look, is the United States a melting pot or a salad bowl? So the melting pot theory, look, Chinese, Irish, Italians, Mexican, Russians all go in this pot. And then they assimilate, the words assimilate. You assimilate into a dominant culture and they adopt the customs, language, and beliefs of the current Americans. Whereas now there's a newer theory, the salad bowl theory. In the salad bowl model, various cultures live side by side, like salad ingredients, but do not merge into a single uniform culture. Each culture keeps its own distinct qualities. Little sidebar here for you. The immigrants, we were so worried about these different ethnic groups coming into our country and bringing new radical ideas, that we wanted to make sure they understood we are a democracy. And so in the schools, they said you have to speak English. And, we sort of encouraged them to dress more American. Because remember, that new wave of immigrants in the late 1800s were coming from Eastern European countries. They had a darker skin tone. They didn't look like that first wave of the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant Americans. They're coming from like Italy and the different Eastern Russia, different Eastern European countries. So one thing is how whenever you go into a traditional school, you start the day every day with "I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America." Why do you think that began? It was because all these immigrants coming, we wanted to make sure they knew you're Americans now, Americans first, and you're going to pledge allegiance to America, right? We are a democracy, and but so that's what that was about, is assimilation. So, but then you're going to think your own theories here. You're going to take a stance. Do you think it's more important for the U.S. to be a melting pot or a salad bowl? And that's going to be the elaborate question that you're going to see down below. There's also a really great Schoolhouse Rocks video that I want you to watch. This is a cute little short 2-3 minute song. As your body grows big. Okay, that I want you to watch. It's called The Great American Melting Pot. The Great American Melting Pot. It's catchy. But this came out in 1977. So I want you to look at that. It explains the melting pot. But do you think this video would still work for today's America? Do you think it would still be acceptable? What do you think about that? And again, do you agree with this theory? And then also the do is to create drawings of the melting pot and the salad bowl theories. Explain, do you feel America today is a melting pot or a salad bowl? The Evaluate is a really cool Kahoot quiz. I was even thinking about doing this as a live lesson. This is just more of a review of everything you learned on the project because, we're at the very end here. And I thought, well, what can I even do for a lesson? I was originally just going to do this, just a review with Kahoot. And I thought it's important for you to learn about this idea of the melting pot in case some of you haven't heard of it already. So the elaborate here is just a short paragraph, a short answer here of, do you think it's more important for the U.S. to be a melting pot or a salad bowl? Explain in a paragraph. Be sure to take a strong stance, so you're one way or the other, and support your answer with at least 2 reasons and explain. Okay? And actually, I shouldn't say you're one way or the other. You could, if you want to take a stance where you're maybe a little bit in between, that's fine, but just explain your reasoning. Okay? Explain your stance. Then, as I said, I just want you to finish those final products and always do the reflection here. Okay, so that's what you're working on. You're down to the finish line, folks. So get these final products in. I should see them flying into me this week, right? And remember, everything's due February 10th. I'm giving you the weekend in case you need time over the weekend to finish it up. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, reach out to me. Have a great week.